What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about how I was able to close 83% of my leads in the last 2 weeks, and I didn't even have to take a sales call. Let's get into it. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Scott King. I run a DJ company in Orlando, Florida. Also have a coaching business if you want to learn how I was able to grow my business through the use of NLP, hypnosis, internet marketers, and much more. So basically, how do you keep up with all these leads, right? So just recently I went into the deep end of Go High Level, and it's been kind of exciting. I've been training with it for over a year now, and then I was like, how can I get this to work for my business? Because I didn't understand all the capabilities of it. And then now that I have it, in play, in line, it's been such a dream, and it follows up with everybody. Because think about it, if you get all these different leads, how are you going to be able to keep up with them all? How are you going to be able to, send them contracts, invoice, build a website, send them text messages, and to make sure that you can, put trust into their mind that you're the one for the job, whatever small business that you have or whatever business that you want to keep up with your leads for, right? And then it could do all this stuff on a mass scale so that you don't have to sit there and follow up with every single person, where it does it for you. And then, of course, not every single lead that comes in is probably going to be good for your business. So then you'd want to warm them up to find out if it's a good match. So if they're constantly being reminded of your service and not every company or your competition isn't keeping up with them, then you're going to just set yourself apart from anybody else that's in your market. So keep that in mind. So I made a little bit of a slideshow over here. So basically I was able to close about 84% of my leads that scheduled Zoom calls within the last 2 weeks. So basically I had 6 Zoom calls come in. I closed 5 of them. And the best thing was that I didn't even have to show up for, the sales call in particular, because I have, a sales team that's trained and an assistant that knows exactly how the business runs. And it worked out great, on top of having an amazing, CRM system, marketing system to help close the leads. Once somebody books a Zoom call, right, they're already kind of convinced that you're the service for the job, depending on how your business is represented. Not everybody that calls you on a cold call will go straight to contract. It all kind of depends on how bad they need the service, how trusted they are from looking at your content or website that you're the person for the job. And think about it like this, right? I run a DJ company. How many DJs are out there, right? And on top of that, is your SEO in good standing so that, you could get your business in front of, the prime customer, the prime lead, right? So anyway, yeah, what's the problem, right? Keeping up with all these people, how many hours are spent, one person want to sign, or did they not sign, or will they get back to the contract? And that's one thing that's a little frustrating about the business. You would want it to be as fast as possible, right? Oh, I need a DJ. Okay, here's the contract, sign. A week goes by. Oh, I forgot to get to that. Or I have to get in touch with the person who writes the check, or there's somebody else, in charge of the bigger operation, and they're the ones that have to sign the contract before you can get it to somebody else. So as a business owner, you would want that to be as fast as possible, right? So that you could get on to the next thing. It doesn't really always work out that way. And especially if you have 165 loose ends, how are you going to be able to keep up with them all? And, it could get a little frustrating, but, Go High Level makes things so, easy and streamlined. Basically, hours spent following up with everybody. How many missed opportunities are you having? Do you have inconsistent messaging? Because, it could be a little clunky working with all these different services. When I first started, I had a Google document or a Google Excel sheet. Every time I got a name, I would put it in there, and then, I'd go back, on Mondays. Oh, follow up with this person. Did this person sign this contract? And it was a way to get through. But now that I have a system that does all that stuff, it saves up a lot of time. And then my time can be spent, doing other things and learning how to scale, right? So those are just some of the things to think about when, growing your business, right? So my AI workflow, I have a bunch of different, tabs to pull up and show you. Lead capture, right? Do you have an opt-in form? So basically, when someone goes to your website, do you have a form that will take their information, name, phone number, all that fun stuff? And then what does it do with that information afterwards, right? So if I minimize my slideshow over here and go to forms, right? So if I go to this new website that I just built and I'd hit the let's chat button, right? It'll bring you to a calendar to schedule a Zoom call with us. And then once they put their information in, it'll send them to a workflow, which works out pretty good. And then also, do you have a pop-up window? Let's say they didn't want to schedule a time, but they still wanted to keep in touch with you because, not everybody's ready to buy when they think they're ready to buy. Like I had an email come in and they're like, oh yeah, we need about $3,000 worth of service in December and I'm ready to book now. So they may think they're ready to book now because I got on the phone and I called them and then sent them an offer. I have my AI bots chatting with them, and then they email me back and it's like, oh yeah, I guess I still have to wait for, the owner of the company to look at all this stuff. So, sometimes, some people are sent out to go information gather, right? And they're not ready to book, even though they may think they're ready to book, or maybe they got some information from their boss thinking that they were ready to book, and yet they still have too many moving parts in order to proceed, with signing somebody in and, sending you a check. So it's not that big of a deal to you because you're going to constantly keep up with them anyway, right? So as soon as they, put their information into your opt-in form, which is pretty easy to do. So I don't have a bunch of different windows. So basically, if you go to sites, right, you can have forms and have a form builder, which I have two different forms, which is the two forms you saw right here. You have this form, which is the opt-in pop-up, opt-in, boom. And then if they fill their information out on the calendar to meet with me on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then that's a different form, which shows up right here, KE calendar. And then once they put their information in, they're sent into automations. So if I click on automations, I have all these different automations depending on what they fill out, right? So let's say the wedding is a pretty popular one. If you click on wedding client, so we have triggers. Hey, look, they filled in this opt-in form. Okay, well then send them through this workflow, and then that'll keep in touch with them. And obviously, if you're sitting in front of the computer just doing what I do, creating automations, once you get that, you could just hop on a phone and call them, right? That would probably be the best way to do it. Or maybe they're not as ready to book as they think they're ready to book because they're still information gathering. You can let them simmer or nurture inside of one of your workflow automations. So just keep that in mind. Also, instant response, right? When you put your information in, the workflow will automatically put them through a series of different tasks, right? It'll send them an email. The AI will send them a text message like in the next 5 minutes. Hey, look, thanks for putting your information into the form. Any questions I can, help you out with right now. Otherwise, schedule a Zoom call and talk to somebody on the team, right? So, and then of course, Smart Nurture, I have more than a 7-day automation, but you can start out small, and then it just depends on your business, right? And how fast someone's going to book a service like what you have, right? So I went to a website and I just put my information in for someone to clean out my dryer vent. I got a call instantly, and the guy was at my house like the next day or something like that. And then I talked to him and I was like, well, you guys are quick. And he goes, yeah, the first one to call back is usually the one that gets the gig, right? And I was like, yeah, well, here you are. So that makes the most amount of sense, right? So also, booking automation, right? They could book their own Zoom call from the calendar, that's on the website. And then from there, it's, up to the salesperson in order to, finalize the deal, because we are a DJ company and personality has a lot to do with it, on top of being, a great marketer and, setting someone at ease. We have a lot of videos that explain, the services that we offer, and, by the time they get to a Zoom call, it's easier to close them. Again, 90% in the last 2 weeks. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, the benefit, go high level. The system never stops working, and then it works how you tell it to work. And then the AI, which there's a new service where you can have voice AI, where it'll call people and just talk to them or answer the phone for you. And that would be kind of cool, which is the next thing that Go High Level is selling, which I got to set that up in order to, show you how it works before I start pushing that link. But I have links to a 30-day free account for Go High Level, and I'll make sure to leave that in the video. But yeah, you want something to work while you sleep so that you don't have to, pull your hair out on all these different things. All right. So again, right, Real results. I managed 165 leads in the last 6 weeks or so. The conversion, it just keeps increasing. It gets easier and easier because we are following up, with our leads, and we are, if they're talking to the AI chat, that's instant response. The coaches tell me to put like a, 30-second pause so they're not responding so fast. But, it also another thing too, you don't want to, break the trust of your lead. So the AI tells them it's AI. Hey, look, this is DJ Chatty, your AI assistant. What can I help you with? Because I wouldn't want to, deceive any lead. It's just, this is what it is. And this is something to give you answers instantly versus, what if we're on stage? What if we're on the phone with somebody else, and it's just an extra service, that you're offering to your leads to set you apart from your competition. Alrighty, so why it works. Instant response, seconds versus days or hours, right? Another thing too, consistency. It gets the message out how you want it to go. And then you could train the AI to talk how you want it to talk and give the information out that you want to give out. And it's persistence. It never forgets. If it's in the workflow, it'll happen. So once again, Go High Level is pretty easy to set up. I'll leave a link down below if you guys need any help setting up. I'll leave the boot camp, and the boot camp guys will set it up for you. How about that? Yeah, pretty impressive. And it's got, templates to drag and drop things to get you up and running real easy. And then I can also leave a link to the website that I just built, for the DJ company, and then you can just click on that and see some of the things that it's capable of or how I set it up, and just imagine yourself having a website up in an hour or less, right? Because they have templates that are already there. And then we can also connect your calendar and tell it when to schedule meetings. So basically it's an all-in-one. It works amazing, and my clients are loving it, and people are just talking to my AI. I don't even know. I'll go to the app, be like, oh yeah, I guess people are talking to my AI. That's kind of cool. So again, make sure to leave me a thumbs up if you find this information useful. Share, like, subscribe, tell your grandma, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.